So the learning outcomes. So after completion this program, I hope that you will able to explain a working mechanism of simple mechanical system. Simple mechanical system starting from any equipment that they have movement, they need load, they rotate, anything that needs force in order to make the system works. So as you can see, this is only a small sample or little sample that you can imagine about simple mechanical system. We can start with what we call it a pen. Okay, your pen for writing. This is also simple mechanical system, and then we go to more complex equipment, and we will try to understand how they work, understand what parts A needed to build the system, and how the role of each part in order to make the system works. And then perhaps if the system fail to work, we can analyze what makes the system fail. Well, if we talk about the failure of the system, I think not all the failure is abnormal. Okay, some system maybe already reached the lifetime. Okay, so you must understand that there are two conditions for failure of mechanical system: normal failure or abnormal failure. Normal failure if the system already reached its lifetime, but abnormal failure, the failure which might occur during operation, maybe in a in a very short time of operation. We use a term service instead of operation. So when I say that the equipment is in service, it means the equipment is under operation condition. Okay, service is different term if we compare with the bahasa. Service in bahasa means repair. Okay, but in English we call service for under operating condition. Okay, you keep in mind in that. Okay, second is able to explain the concept of load, force, stress on mechanical element. Of course, you have learned about the load, the force, the moment, the torsion. Okay, last semester. Is it difficult or easy for you? I'm worried about the understanding of this concept, because in this mechanical design we use the whole topic, almost the whole topic from the static, uh, bring the whole term here in order to first design, and then analyze, and then evaluate the performance of mechanical system. Okay, it's okay for you if you can ask me anytime during the class here if you feel that you cannot understand about what I said. Okay. Now the third one is the able to perform material selection. So since the first semester you join materials engineering up to your final project, your tugas akhir, we always say about material selection. This is the keyword, the core of our business. Okay, in order to endorse, in order to design, in order to make a very good performance of a system. Okay, but in this case, we will consider about the mechanical load, the safety factor, the geometry or dimension, the shape, okay, and so on, and perform simple calculation in machine design. Actually, in the mechanical engineering, they also calculate about how to design a gear, how to design a, let's say, a belt and pulley, how to design a thread in a bolt. okay, pada baut, they they design, they make, okay, they calculate in order to produce the real equipment. But we still we still calculate such kind of calculation, but not quite complex compared to the mechanical engineering program. Okay, the references. My primary reference is the textbook of machine design from uh, Kurmi Gupta. This is quite simple book. Okay, wait a moment. Okay, this book use metric system method like kg second is quite simple because we already familiar with this unit. But for other books, Aaron Dutchman and then Collins and Budinas and other book is in imperial system. So it is better you try to find the ebook, or you can ask me. I will share to you uh, through WhatsApp, okay, or through Classroom. I don't know whether I can upload around 25 megabytes, but I will try. Or you can ask me through WhatsApp. For any of you, if you join my class metallurgy, okay, you have you already have my number, okay. You can ask me personally through WhatsApp. Okay, so mostly I will use the book from Kurmi Gupta. Now, prerequisite subject physics, okay, and also the engineering mechanic and static. So I think you might still understand or remember about those two subjects, and we will bring the whole equation mostly, okay, to this topic. And also this subject will support other subject, okay, after the third semester. First is failure analysis, and second is fracture mechanics. The third is corrosion and corrosion control, and perhaps finite element. Okay, for you who interest about modeling, about design using simulation or modeling using software, you also need machine design. You need to understand more about this subject. And now the topics we will talk about the load, the stress, force, of course. Okay, compressive force, tensile, and then bending, shear, and torsion. Okay, machine and the working mechanism, okay, how they works for each equipment, whether they work in shear, whether they work in tensile, and so on. And then we go to joints. Joints, we have a rivet joint, we have a screw joint, and also we have a welded joint. Okay, we will try to design and also evaluate the performance about those joints. Next is the shaft and keys. Shaft and key. Shaft is actually a very important part in a mechanical system. Okay, most of mechanical system using shaft. We'll try to, let's say, make a simple design or calculation about shaft. Okay, and then bearing. I will try to give you a little bit knowledge about bearing, the design of bearing, types of bearing. Okay, and then gears, belt, pulley. Gears actually is quite common for you. You can see it's a common thing, but gears need a specific design, need a specific calculation in order to make a pair of match gears, 2 gears. Okay, and then the last one is about coupling and clutch. Okay, in Indonesia, in bahasa, usually we say coupling. Okay, but there is actually 2 different equipment, 2 different parts, 2 different terms about the coupling and clutch. In the motorcycle or car, we usually using clutch. Okay, using clutch. Only small bit type of equipment they use clutch and coupling, both of them. Okay, we will study about that as well. This is the assessment. Is quite relative, but I try to, let's say, make an adjustment for you who have tried. Okay, for you who have tried to, let's say, uh, your contribution. Okay, I will try to give you the best in order this assessment. This assessment, the percentage of this assessment actually is just for formality. Okay, but don't worry, as long as you, let's say, well, do your assignment, do your exam, and also final exam. I think is not quite a problem about the mark, but I think you still should be disciplined. I told you earlier that this is quite not easy about understanding this subject. Now we go to the principle of design. So the design is the process or transformation from the imagination, okay, into the real form. Okay, some people try to make try to make a simple equipment in order to, well, make their work easier. Okay, can be something new, can be an adaptive design. There is a previous design, and then people try to learn about the weakness of the equipment, and then they try to make it more simple. They try to make it more useful. Remember about the printer? Several years ago, people only know about printer is single use to print. Okay, to transform the digital writing into the hard copy. But nowadays, you know that printer already have a multifunction. They can do scanning, they can do copying, and so on. So printer is from imagination into real form. But multi-purpose printer is adaptive design because they come from 3 different equipment and they try to assemble into one simple equipment. Okay. Now the sequence, of course, you have learned about the engineering drawing. Okay, from imagination, try to make a sketch, try to make the detail science, the detail geometry, and come up with the engineering drawing. And then after engineering drawing, they send the drawing into the people who competent to create the product, and then they have prototypes. After they have prototype, they try to, let's say, use and then evaluate the performance. Okay, testing the prototypes, find the weakness, find the strength, and then they make it more perfect. Okay, according to the first imagination. Okay, no, I don't want like this. Actually, I want this one is folded. Actually, I want this one is shorter time, and so on. So they try to make other, of course, they try to redraw, okay, in order to based on the evaluation they have made, and then they go to the mass product or the final product or end product. Okay, and then finally we can use for our purposes. Now, if you see the picture there, we go back when the first cell phone is created. You can see that the size, okay, very big size. I still remember the first cell phone, the height is around 30 centimeters. Okay, The thickness is around, let's say, 5 centimeters. Very, very big. Okay. In bahasa they call itu bisa buat mengasah pisau because of the size. Okay. But from time to time, you can see that the size of the cell phone getting smaller, smaller, because people need a simple thing, because people need something easy to use, easy to bring. Okay, it's not take let's say space, like a very large space in their bag, for example. But when people try to design, try to attach a camera into their cell phone, you can imagine the cell phone getting larger, and larger. Okay, what is the largest cell phone? What size? The largest cell phone with the camera today? Is it 11 inch, 12 inch, or maybe larger than that? I don't know. Okay, but some television here already attached with the web camera. Television in size of around 72 inches. 72 inches television already attached with camera. So it's very amazing that starting from very big size, okay, getting smaller, and then people try attach a camera here, the function of camera into cell phone, and then the size cannot be small anymore, getting larger again. Okay, the most common one is around 7 inch. Okay. So there are 3 types of design, okay, according to the illustration here. We have new design. So this is the result of new design, okay. And then developmental design. Developmental design is mostly related with the technology, okay. The chip, and then the size of the speaker, the size of the display, the color of the display, okay, developmental design. And then the third one is adaptive design. Adaptive design is related with needs, demand, and lifestyle. Okay, as I told you that multi-purpose printer is an adaptive design result because they need for printing, they need for scanning, and also they need for copying. But developmental design, for example, that from LCD technology, and then grow with and transform into a LED technology. I think consumer is not quite what we can say that doesn't really know about what is the LCD, but after, let's say, in 5 years, the technology transformed from LCD television into LED television. Okay, without demand. Okay, without a real demand. But this one, perhaps there is a real demand to make a printer have other function other than on printing only. Okay, the new design start from the imagination. Okay, but the other two perhaps from the evaluation or the feedback, okay, from previous equipment that already used. Now we go to this evolution. Okay, some of them come up from this one. Okay, this one is the truth. Okay, the design, new design. Okay, and some of them after this this kind of motorcycle, okay, this kind of motorcycle and so on, developed based on the adaptive design or development design. Okay, this one. Okay, the specific transformation of BMW motorcycle. Okay, this is illustration about the shape only, the geometry only. Okay, we haven't talk about the transformation of the material. Okay. For example, the engine. Okay, the engine, specifically the connecting rod. If you still doesn't know about you don't know about the connecting rod, I will give you illustration. For old motorcycle, they use cast iron or steel as connecting rod. But nowadays, nowadays they change the material, okay, from cast iron or steel into an aluminum alloy. Why? Okay, why? Because people try to, let's say, make the motorcycles not quite heavy, but still have the high performance. Okay, so change the material without reducing the performance. Of course, it will, it will affect the lifetime of the connecting rod. Okay, maybe shorter time, but nowadays I think no need to have a very long lifetime of part, since maybe in every 5 years or maybe less, there is new design. And you still want to buy the new one. You don't care about the lifetime of your old motorcycle. Okay, I need this one. Why? Because the design is more, let's say, futuristic, and so on. You don't care anymore about the lifetime of the connecting rod, the lifetime of anything. It's not important anymore. As long as it can stand about 5 years, then it's okay for you. That's the people nowadays. But in last 80 years ago, let's say 80 years ago, 70 years ago, lifetime is very important. Okay, because not many people understand about the engine of the motorcycle. So maybe their demand is, okay, I want to have motorcycle, but with the less maintenance, less repair. So please try to make, I think in Bahasa we call it awet. Okay, have a lifetime. No need to make a maintenance. Just fill with the fuel, and then we can use anywhere, anytime. Okay. Now, mechanical system. Okay, this one is mechanical system. As I told you, mechanical system is not always about the complex equipment. Okay, if you have a pen here, then okay, this pen here is also a mechanical system, simple mechanical system. Okay, must work or perform according to the design. So when people imagine something before they create the real equipment, they have already think about the use. Okay, I want to make this in order to make my writing easier. I want to make like this to make my, my travel easier, and so on. So we talk about the performance according into the original design. Okay, so a design must have purpose. Okay, a factor that affecting the performance of mechanical system, of course, the load, yeah, the type of load, compressive, tensile, bending, torsion, the magnitude or the value here, and also the direction. Okay, upward, downward, shear, torsion, and so on. Okay, and then the material. We talk about the selection of the material. Whether if we want to have it made from stainless steel, carbon steel, aluminum, and so on. Everything must have a purpose. The shape, the size, okay, the complexity, okay. So why this kind of pulley has a fin here? We call it this fin. Where they must have fins. Okay, this is for cooling purpose, and so on. Perhaps they think more than cooling function. Okay, and why we should make a cover here? What happened with the inside? Okay, they already think about everything before they make the mass product or end product. The environment, okay, what kind of environment the equipment will work should be considered as well, okay. And then how to operate, whether you use constantly or you want to use it intermittent. This is M double M, okay. Intermittent mean in bahasa is terputus. So water pump in your house, okay. This is, we call it as intermittent equipment because it doesn't work constantly, okay. You use it maybe around 5 minutes, 10 minutes only, and then shut down the pump, okay. This is an intermittent equipment, okay. Motorcycle, you use it more than 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we can use a constant. Maybe constant is not a good term, I think dynamically. Motorcycle, dynamically used, but your brake and the brake is intermittent because you use only in a short time, okay, when you need. But the engine, dynamic, okay. Sometimes you go at 40 kilometers per hour, sometimes 60 kilometers per hour, and so on. So dynamic, okay. But the brake is intermittent. You use only in a short time. Now, a design must have their own purpose. Okay, if I told you about the connecting rod, then you can see the yellow parts of upper picture. Okay, that is the connecting rod. Okay, the green one is the crankshaft. Crankshaft, the green equipment, the green part. Okay, this is the crankshaft. Okay, this is the bearing hose, and inside the bearing hose, the blue one here is this one. Okay, so this one is the combustion engine equipment. In order to make an equipment, the motorcycle or car works, the shaft is continuing the rotation and power up to the wheel. Okay, before wheel there is a transmission. Okay, but at the end they will go to the wheel. Okay, this is the simple mechanism about how the fuel transform into the rotating or movement in order to make the vehicles, motorcycle or car, working according to the design. And then you can see here, this is the failure of a connecting rod. Okay, the failure can be caused by anything, maybe mechanical load, maybe overheat, and so on. Okay, as I told you that maybe this is a normal failure, maybe this is abnormal failure. If you operate this one around more than 5 years with not good handling, okay, not good handling, perhaps we can say this is abnormal, okay. But if we say about 20 years and something happened with this connecting rod, perhaps we can say this is normal because the connecting rod already reached its lifetime, okay. And this is, we call it as rivet, okay, rivet. This is one of joint type. This one, let's see, this one is made from carbon steel. The rivet made from carbon steel. And sometimes there is a corrosion on the rivet. So there will be a failure on the rivet here. Okay. When failure occurs, then something happened with the equipment. Okay. Perhaps we have a leakage here. Okay. Perhaps overpressure because maybe this is a pressure vessel. Okay. Over pressure. And this one, the failure of the bearing. We can say there are two rings here. This is the outer rings, and this is the inner rings. And between those two rings, there is a balls here in order to minimize the friction between two rings. Okay, because of particular case, because of particular use or particular service, the bearing also can fail. Okay. Now, what is the effect if those equipment broken? We can read here. It is unable to transmit power from the piston to the crankshaft. Okay, this is the piston, and this is the green one is the crankshaft. Different rivet connection on a boiler, it is said to be damaged if there is leakage between the joint, the failure of the rivet for the first time. And the third one is if a bearing broken, then the shaft movement becomes unbalanced and vibration will maybe scratch at the shaft, and there will be maybe the next one is the failure of the shaft. Okay, so it perhaps need a very careful design, make a good evaluation on the prototype, so finally we can make a very quite perfect equipment on the end product. Failure of metal or material may be caused, okay, the yielding working load goes beyond the yield point, shear, compression, or tension. So already reach near the limit, okay, with the single load applied on the equipment. The second one is the fracture due to the static load, the fatigue, or impact. So basically, a fatigue is a load that working into equipment. Okay, let's say we have the limit. You have already learned about the yield strength on pengantar teknik material. We have we call it as mechanical properties. Okay, every material has the mechanical properties. The stress that needed to break, to make a carbon steel break is around 200 psi, for example. Now the load is only, let's say we can say 100 psi, but we put it continuously, okay, continuously. So with the load only 100 psi, the equipment still able to fracture. Now, if you, let's say I give you other example. So we have the plastic here, the green one, okay? We can say this is very ductile, this is very elastic, okay? If, let's say I use this kind of load repeatedly, continuously, okay, in a very long time, you know, with the single load here, only single load here, you can see that maybe the equipment is not affected at all, okay, with the single equipment, because the value of the load, the magnitude of the load is quite far from the limit. But if you give the load repeatedly, okay, maybe in a certain time, after 1 day, after 2 days, with repeat load here, the equipment might fail. Okay, so this is what we call it as fatigue. Maybe some of you already may have play with the wire or kawat. How you cut a wire? You just try to bend it into reverse direction. Okay, and the wire getting warm, and then finally you cut off the wire. Okay, so this is the fatigue load. But if you try to bend wire in one cycle only, perhaps it still not break. Okay, you may not be able to break the wire. But if you try to, let's say, make a reverse load on the wire, then the wire may be cut. Okay, so that is the fatigue load. Now we go to wear and buckling. Wear and buckling. Wear in bahasa means aus. Okay, buckling. Buckling is quite different with bending. Okay, if we talk about the bending, I have equipment. I have the support supporting here, and this is the load. Okay, the effect of the load will make the equipment like this. So we call it as bending. But buckling, I have an equipment here, similar equipment, but the load is come from the axis direction. Okay, so the effect is quite similar, but we have different direction of the load. or the force or the stress. So that is the difference between bending and buckling. And then corrosion and embrittlement. Embrittlement means penggetasan. Okay. So this is the failure of material, can be caused by anything, perhaps overpressure, perhaps over temperature and so on. But we will concern only come from the mechanical this because of mechanical load. Okay. So this is the effect of the failure. So it means that we cannot use the equipment anymore. This is the least risk. Okay, the least risk is that we have failure. Okay, at least the part should be replaced. Okay, the easiest risk, but for other risk is the damage of the system. Okay, and then perhaps there is accident. Okay, and then we have a loss, financial loss. Okay, but the least risk is the failure. Failure only that okay, you should replace the bolt, you should replace the bearing, you should replace the shaft. But it is cost. Okay, at least in order to replace, you should buy the new part, the new equipment. But in a larger risk, you have to replace the whole system. Why? Because perhaps there is a blast. Okay, we have a blast. Let's say this one. Okay, we have a pressure vessel or boiler. There is leakage, over pressure, and then there is a blast. So we have let's say we have accident. Okay, so it means we also have financial loss. Okay. Okay, so this is the other failure of the equipment. So this cause a scratch to the shaft. If there is scratch, then the risk is perhaps will grow to the failure of shaft. Okay, so this is the bending of buckling of connecting rod. Okay, so if you see the term of buckling previously, then this is the sample of the buckling. The connecting rod fail because of buckling rod. This is corrosion. Okay, both of them. Mostly this is because of the erosion corrosion. Okay, but you can study about the corrosion in corrosion subject. Okay. So you have a diagram here that many kind of load here, okay, might resulting typical failure. Okay, that the load that dominantly with the wear can make let's say low cycle fatigue. Okay, we have spalling here. Spalling means mengelupas. Okay, rolling contact fatigue. This is the, let's say, the friction between the shaft and the bearing. Okay, this is corrosion. There are many types of corrosion and also might cause failure as previous slide. And we also have the temperature. Okay, because of the temperature, there will be expansion. There will be a shrinkage. There will be embrittlement because of very low temperature, and then it also made a failure. Perhaps there is a combination between corrosion and temperature, between corrosion and wear, or combination between temperature and wear. So the failure is very complex. Okay, failure is very complex. Can be come from a single load, or perhaps the combination of some factors that affecting one to others. Okay, so how automobile engine works. So if we talk about the mechanical system, this is the most common but complex system. We start from the combustion chamber, from transforming the fuel, the burning of fuel into the movement energy. Okay, so we have the crankshaft here, okay, rotating. So transformation from the heat energy into rotation. And then from rotation, this is combustion zone. They transmit the rotation and also power into the so this is, we call it clutch here. There are several clutch here and gearbox. Okay, clutch and gearbox. Okay, so if you switch transmission on your motorcycle or your car, this is the zone. Okay, this is to, let's say, increase the RPM or decrease the RPM. Okay, from the engine, they have a certain number of RPM. Let's say in the top speed, okay, in full throttle, full open throttle, they have, let's say, 2000 RPM. But they, inside the transmission zone, perhaps they can increase, okay, they can increase or change the value of this RPM from the combustion zone. And then finally, the result of RPM and power transformation, they end up with the wheel here. Okay, movement zone. So you can see here that there are many kind of parts here. At least we you already know some of them. We have the wheel here, and we have the gear here, some of gears, gearbox, and of course we have a shaft here. We have the crankshaft here, okay, and we have the connecting rod here. Perhaps you cannot see the small one, okay, the small one including the key or the bearing, but they must have the bearing. They must attach the bearing in order to prevent friction. Now, in this subject, we will try to study. We break down, okay, we break down the system into simple part, simple equipment, and we try to, let's say, design. So the term design is not full design in our world, but perhaps at least you know how they works, what kind of load working on the part. Okay, is it shear? Is it tensile or compression? So you can analyze if there is failure, what might be the primary cause. Okay, you will study about that for each part or each equipment. But well, about the mechanical system is not only the complex system. If you see the left picture or right picture, both of them is mechanical system as well, but it's quite more simple compared to the previous one. So basically, a car jack is working based on pressure. Okay, they move the oil, they pumping the oil in order to, okay, this one. Let's say for recent car, we have around 80-100 kg of small car, okay, perhaps less, and then divided by 4 because we have 4 wheels. So let's say we have the loads around 200 kg or kilogram. So the jack here should be able to withstand or to lift around 200 kilogram. So the capacity here, should be around 200 kilograms. So the pressure here should be the F per A. F here means around 200 kilograms times the gravity. and the A is the cross-section area of this tube or this pipe. Okay, tube. Okay, so this is the design. So what is the pressure for? The pressure equals to the stress. Remember that they have the same unit, kg per millimeter square or psi. They have same unit actually between pressure or stress. So the stress will related with the material to design a car jack here. So you must choose a material with the certain pressure should be larger than the loads. Okay, applied at the body of the car jack. So the car jack can operate without blown away because of the kickback from the weight of the car. Okay, so this is the simple design. You must understand how they work. Okay. This is the key, how key works here. Of course, in this case, we do not talk about the load specifically, but I think you should learn why the key has a specific surface. Okay, it's just like what we call it crocodile teeth with a lot of teeth because they need a specific code. Okay, we do not talk much about the load here, but this is also mechanical system. Now we go to the concept of load, stress on moving system of element. Okay, the main factor in material selection is load and material properties. Actually, in a machine design, we always correlate between three factors: the material, the load, and the size. In bahasa, we have a more simple terms, which is bahan, beban, and ukuran. Okay, you have those two things here, then we can determine the size. You already have the material. You already know the load or the capacity. For example, the car jack. Okay, I should make a car jack with the capacity around 200 kg. So what kind of material do you have? I have let's say the carbon steel, the AISI 1045. Okay, so you can determine the size. What is the size? Let's say the diameter needed to lift up the wheel of the car. Okay, or maybe you already have the material and you know the size of your equipment you have designed. Then you can determine what is the maximum capacity of your equipment. Okay, okay, I already have the car jack. The material is blah 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 and the size of blah blah blah. What kind of car we can apply? Okay. Oh, it cannot use on a truck. Why? Because it has very high load. Okay. So by knowing two factors, when we can determine the other one factor. You know the load and the size, you can determine the material unit. You know the material and the load, then you can calculate the minimum size of your equipment, and so on. Okay, so basically in machine design, we always talk about the bahan, beban, and ukuran. Okay, load can work in form of force, the moment, and the energy. Okay, so based on your, let's say, physics and also statics, okay, the type of force, we have the compression, we have the tension, we also have the shear, okay, with the specific direction. And also we have the moment. moment divided into two, which is the first one is bending and second is the twist or the torsion load. Okay, remember the torsion. If you wash your clothes and then you squeeze, okay, you squeeze your clothes, it means that you apply a torsion load on your clothes. Okay, so this is the simple definition or term for torsion. Okay, the energy could be strain. Okay, strain, strain means regangan, and then the impact or sudden load, and then we have the heat energy or thermal energy, and also we have chemical energy or electricity, but this only take a very small contribution compared to other loads. Due to the load given to the system, then the system is set under stress condition. Okay, stress can cause damage or failure. Okay, so you can see here there are a lot of, okay, we have compression stress, we have tensile stress, we have shear stress, we have also torsional stress, and also bending stress. So I think you already get these equations on static. And then now we can apply those equations to try to make a simple design or to evaluate a mechanical system or mechanical parts individually. Okay, we use those equations. Stress caused by energy, this is the strain energy, whether this one is tensile, compressive, or strain, okay, or shear, sorry. And this one is the heat, the energy because of the stress because of the increasing of the temperature. Sorry, this is temperature, not time. Okay. So this is alpha, the increasing or decreasing temperature, and this is the elastic modulus. Okay. Now, if we go to the definition of the stress. Stress, what is the stress? Stress, if you just write down the equation, then everything is, I cannot ask you anymore. But if you write the equation, what is the term of stress? Stress equals to the intensity of force applied on certain area. Okay, so we call it, this is the intensity of force applied on certain area. So this is the definition, and this is the equation. Okay, if someone asks you about the definition of the stress, then you must answer according to this term. Okay, shear load. Okay, still we have the similar term here or understanding or definition, but the difference is the area that affected by the force. The previous one is the perpendicular area. Okay, this one also perpendicular area, but for shear we have a parallel area. So people usually give this parallel sign in order to give you information about the direction of the force. Okay, but still we have a similar equation. If we compare between tensile, compressive, and also shear. Now we go to the bending. You can see how bending works. Okay, we have support to support this one and also this one. We have the support A and also support B. Yeah, if you still remember about static, so you have two kind of support, and then you give a load at certain direction, certain distance from one spot, okay, then the effect is the bending. Okay, this one is bending. Now we have the bending moment here. So the bending moment, okay, this one, let's say at C equals the reaction force at point A times the distance. So it means that the further distance from point A, the larger the bending moment. So we can draw the bending moment diagram. It's like this. The M equals to the reaction force at point A times the half of the length between A and B. Okay, and this one, let's say if you want to determine the moment value, should be the RA times, let's say this one is Y, then we can multiple with the Y, the distance. Okay, so this is the bending. So after this, you can determine the bending stress. This is the bending moment, okay, and this is the value of C. C equals the distance from the center to the outer, or you can say the radius if the geometry is in a circular, divided the inertia moment. This one is for a circular cross-section area. Okay. Now we go to the torsion here, the twisting. You can see here the twisting. So actually the load is, as I told you, when you squeeze your clothes, it means you apply twisting on your clothes. So similar with this one, if we have a shaft here, then we also have a torsional load because of the transmission from the energy source. Okay, now we go to the bending stress. Bending stress occurs when a component receives a load that is not parallel with the component axis. So the this is the manifestation. Okay, you have learned this on your static. Okay, so why there is always one in triangle and one in a ball. Okay, because this is the fixed support. This is the roll support. But actually, in a real condition, they have same bearing here. So this support means bearing. Okay, this one is A, this one is B. Okay, both of them have similar bearing. Okay, but why the picture here is different? This one is triangle and this one is circular, because one of the bearing between these two bearing we still allow a small number of movement on the bearing. Okay, so we provide a small gap in order for bearing to, let's just say, slide a little bit. Okay, so we represent this one support to provide the sliding on the bearing. Only small number of sliding. Why? Because if you have, let's say, make the equipment without providing a sliding space between those two support, then when the shaft in service condition, there will be a very high vibration, because it means that the shaft, you hold the shaft very tight without any tolerances to release. Okay, because during services the shaft will also vibrate. So giving a small gap, it means you release some of the vibration. So we give space actually, or we give the opportunity to the shaft to release the vibration. So this is the part of the design as well. People perhaps evaluate if they previously did not give us space, then the lifetime of the shaft is shorter. Okay, so this is already a perfect design based on the maybe a very long time ago case. If they choose to make this kind of design or assembly. Okay, so this simple bar here actually represent this one. If there is a gear here, okay, there is gear here, the gear move at the gear, then we have the tangential force here. So the diagram simple beam should change to this one. This is the FT, this is the support A, and this one is the support. Okay, so this one is representing actually a shaft with those two support, or maybe more than two. Okay, a different system will have different simplification. The bending moment and bending state mostly work on a shaft that work dynamically. Okay, as I told you that perhaps some of the equipment, the shaft working with different RPM, okay, during service. If the rod or shaft receive a bending load, then the reaction on the surface of the rod can be illustrated. Okay, since they have a load here. Okay, then the geometry will transform into this kind of shape. So from B into B accent, G to G accent, C to C accent. So actually when they bend, this is the condition of the, okay, so this one is H accent, this is the G, this is the B, and this is the C, okay, but already transformed the shape of the geometry. Okay, to simplify, we see the right one. Okay, so it means in the surface, the outer surface, C to H, we have a tensile on the surface. Okay, so we have tensile here, getting longer. Okay, the distance, this is the CH, let's say we have 2 inches here, CH, and while this one is of course more than 2 inches. Okay, perhaps it's already go to 3 inches. So it means we have tensile. But this one, since they have compression, 2 inches become, let's say, 1.5 inches. So they have compression. But with the rotation of the shaft, okay, so sometimes the condition will work like this. So this is the B action, this is the, okay, I give this code. This one is 1.5 inch, this one is 3 inches. So we have compression tension at point B and G. And we have also have compression tension on along C and H. But in reverse, when B and G getting compressive, then the CH become in tension. Okay, so we also have repeating load here, compression tension, or if I make this one, this is typically the load that working, let's say, on the sorry, the C. Okay, but at the same time for the B and G, this one, same pattern but different or reverse direction. Okay, when reviewing the BG and CH section, after obtain a bending load, there will be a deformation resulting in change of shape to B and G, compression, and CH in tension. Okay, change in length does not occur on the neutral axis A. The stress occurring can be transformed into this kind of equation. So based on this equation, then the equation will be like this. Previously, I write down like this, mc per I. But it's okay, you can use c or y here, but the y which is equal to c equals to the radius of the shaft. Okay, so this is the bending moment. You still remember, perhaps you still remember about how we obtain the bending moment at certain point along the shaft, as I write down previously. Okay, now we go to the torsional stress. The torsional stress exists with the presence of coupling on the surface center on the circular axis of the circle. The stress that appears due to the torsion is called torsional shear stress. Okay, you know about the video previously, the animation previously. Almost similar equation with the bending, but we have different direction. Bending working along the length of the shaft, but the torsion working along the circumference. Oh, in bahasa we call it as keliling. Okay, the circumference of the cross section. Okay, and then this is the magnitude of the stress, small at the center and highest at the surface of the shaft. So with some, let's say you have known about the inertia on x-axis and y-axis, then we have this one. The torsion would be this equation. So it means related with the shear stress. Shear stress, if we relate it with the mechanical properties, actually the value is this one. Okay, or some of book write down that the maximum shear or the shear strength will be equal to the 2/3 of the ultimate stress. So for this one, the shear equals to the half of. It depends on the properties of the material. For ductile up to 2/3, but on the brittle material only half of the ultimate strength. Okay, so this is the relationship between the torsion and the shear. Or we can write down like this, that the shear equals to 16 times T. Okay, for bending, previously. Okay, so this is caused by the torsion, this is caused by the bending. Okay, some of equipment only receive torsional load only, some of equipment only receive bending load only, but mostly equipment they receive the combination between torsion and also bending. Most equipment. So we will try to combine these two kind of load in order to solving. Let's say if we want to design the size of or the geometry of a shaft, then we can use these two equation here. And then we go to the motor. Okay, motor. We have the specification of the motor. Usually the simplest one is like this. This is the power 1.75, and this is the RPM. Okay. Let me tell you the conversion. 1 horsepower equals to 745 watts. Okay. So this equation using watts. if the value is 1.75 horsepower, this one I don't know whether this one is 86 or 56, I don't know, but this is the efficiency. Okay, the efficiency. It means that theoretically the motor produce 1.75, but when they go out, okay, to rotate the shaft, actually it's not 1.75 but less than 1.75, just 1.75 times the 86%. Okay, so should be smaller, perhaps around 1.6 horsepower, and then you can try to convert into the watt. 1.6 around, let's say almost 1,200 watts. Okay, 1,200 watts, and then with certain the RPM here, let's say this one 4,800, and this one is 1,200, and we have 3.14. Then we can determine the torsion. Okay, torsional force here. The torsional force can be bring to this equation. Okay, bring the result of calculation here, the torsion, and we know the material, the shear strength of the material. Then, okay, I bring this one. We know the material, we know the torsion, then we can determine the minimum diameter. If we try to design a shaft, then we have to determine the minimum diameter. What kind of diameter? This one. Okay. So let's say we after we calculate, then we get, let's say 18 millimeters shaft diameter. So it means we cannot make smaller than 18, but we can make a shaft with the diameter, let's say around 20 millimeter. Okay, can be larger or greater, but cannot be smaller than 18. Okay, based on this equation. Okay, so as I told you, we have the material. Okay, we have the load, and we can determine the geometry. We know the material, we know the geometry, then we can calculate the load here. Load here means, let's say, if the question in what is the suitable motor should we buy, should we provide, if we know the geometry and we know the material of the shaft. Okay, so this is how we solve the problem, starting from the load, or starting from the material, or starting from the size. But at least we must know about two things. Let's say we have the material and we have the size, then we can choose the motor in order to make the equipment working. Combined stress, when a component gets more than one axial. Axial means tensile or compression. This is the axial. Bending, you know, the bending, and also torsion. Then it is said that the component is under combined load. The total stress that occurs at the factor sum of each stress due to axial, the shear, bending, and also torsion. Keep in mind that stress is vector because they have a magnitude or value, and also they have a working direction. Mechanical components that transmit power are always under loaded condition. Working loads can be either bending or torsion or combination of them. Okay, I have given you those two equations regarding the bending moment, bending stress, torsional, and also torsional stress. The component that mostly receive those type of load is the shaft. So this is the shaft here. Always receive the bending and also the torsion. Okay. So if this is the tension, go to the direction, then we have the FT here. Okay, and this is the actual load here. Okay, let's say for slicing something or to crush something or and so on. Okay, but this is the load come up from here, and this is provide power in order to make the mechanism working. Cyclic stress, okay, might come from repeating load. I told you earlier about how we cut a wire only using reverse load of wire. Okay, this type of load can be torsional or bending, or perhaps in more common tensile release, or compress release, and so on, or maybe combination, twist, tensile, release, the torsion release, and then repeat it. Okay, the most mechanical component work with the dynamic load variable. This one is variable or fluctuating, which usually much lower than its strength. As I told you that usually in under surface condition. Okay, material which have 200 kilopound per square inch can fail even if the working stress is around 100 KSI. Okay, so surface condition still can fail. You know that this is the only half of the material, the strength of the material, but this under this value of load, the equipment still might fail. Okay, why? Because the repeating load. Okay, although the value of variable load is still far below from the maximum force to make the major rupture or fail, if it is happen repeatedly, it will result a failure as well. Okay, so this is the type of tensile compression, or reverse bending, or reverse torsion, twist, release, or the combination between those type of loads. Load cycle, the load that might work on a component can be seen in the following figures. So this one, tensile compression, or maybe like this one. Okay, tensile release, okay, or this one, tensile compression but not reverse. Let's say this one, the peak is 80 psi, this one is compression, let's say minus 20 psi. Or maybe we have compression release, like this one. Okay, so we have, let's say, minus 80 psi. So we have many kind of load that might works. Let's say we have spring, okay, pen spring, okay, pen spring, and we have compressive release, okay, on your shock breaker on your motorcycle or car, they working under compressive release, okay. So you can find another example how equipment work according to the direction of the load. The effect of repeating load magnitude to service life of component. Okay, larger the working stress, shorter the lifetime. Okay, larger the working stress, shorter the lifetime. This is the relationship. Slower the working stress, longer the life of the equipment. So this is the lifetime of the equipment. Failure because of the fatigue, it really comes from imperfection or defect on the surface. Okay, and then the imperfection grows into a crack and then goes to the failure. Okay, what caused the failure of the component? First is the flaw or imperfection. It can be caused by simple thing, let's say scratch. So actually some equipment cannot have any scratch, must have very smooth surface. For example, is shaft. Okay, shaft, because they work repeatedly, dynamically. They cannot have any scratch on the shaft surface. Load or working condition. Okay, the value of load, the direction of the load, the frequency of the load, and so on. The environment, as I told you previously, the design, okay, the material selection, the size of the equipment, the manufacturing methods of the equipment, and how they perform assembly. So the failure can be caused since the material, the size, design size, the manufacturing process, perhaps welding, or perhaps the assembling. Because of the assembling, let's say they put the gear to the shaft, and then the misalignment occurs, then the failure still can happen. Okay, at the end of any action above will resulting crack. So this is typically the cracks. Okay, the cracks propagate from the original point into the further. Okay, so this is the crack. We call it, this one is a macro crack because it has a large size of crack. Okay, repeated load, and because of the imperfection, misuse, mismanufacturing, misassembling, there will be a micro crack. Micro crack, and then we still use the equipment regularly, so the load is still working regularly, then there is a propagation of the micro crack. The propagation will resulting crack size larger, then we call it as macro crack. And then there will be a macro crack propagation, and finally we have the final fracture. Okay, the characteristic of fatigue surface. This one is surface. Okay, there are fine lines perpendicular to the crack propagation. Okay, so this is where the crack originate, and they will grow or develop into this direction. And then this is the final area, the smallest area, that perhaps there will be no propagation anymore. Why? Because there are only small area which actually hold the material. Okay, so this is the zone of the final crack. No, there is no crack propagation anymore, but we call it as the final zone of the failure. Okay, static fracture or final fracture. The factors affecting the fatigue properties is the stress concentration, size of the component, the surface condition, okay, surface roughness. I told you previously should be no scratch on the subsurface. Okay. Residual stress because of the welding, because of metal forming, because of the heat treatment should be avoided. Okay, and the last one is the corrosion, because some of corrosion might causing scratch on steel surface, might cause pitting, might cause embrittlement, which also affecting the lifetime of the equipment. So this is the sample of the surface, which let's say previously under fatigue load. So I give you some of the example here. Most common. This is the fatigue propagation. There is crack, and then crack propagates, and there will be a reducing area of the cross section, and this is the final. This is the final zone. Okay, only small area, and then the shaft directly fill. This is crack propagation zone. This one is crack propagation zone, and this is the final fracture zone. Larger the final fracture, zone means the shorter time for crack to grow. So it will occur in shorter time. This one, it takes longer time compared to this one. Why? We can compare the size of the static zone. This one only have small static zone. So it means it takes a long time from initiation of the crack to the propagation of the crack up to the final fracture. Okay, it's very long time. This is the longest time. This also have a longest time. Okay, longest time. This is the final fracture zone. Only small area of the static failure. This one, if you can see the why they have different pattern here. This one is just like a line here, and this one is more circular or curve. This one is most like lines here because we have different working nature of the shaft. This one working on pure bending, while this one is torsion. This is the failure because of the torsion, and this one is failure because of the bending load. This one is torsion, okay, almost circular. But when we have like this, then the dominant load which caused the failure is the bending. Okay. So I think that's all for today.